Hello, everybody. So I will be talking about collecting conversational data. This means everyday private conversations on the field, typically in people's homes. And the approach that we decided to choose to test is the citizen science approach, meaning if we are the one who wants to collect the data, and on the other side are speakers that we want to record, citizen scientists are those who are to go around, ask people to allow recording their speech, do the recording, submitting the data, collecting the submission consent forms, and so on. So this is basically what we try to do to prepare the platform which can be used for such an approach to collecting speech. The language we are working on is the Slovenian language. It's a small language community of 2 million of speakers. And in this speech, I will concentrate on 3 challenges which we find connected to this task that we want to do. First is to support remote collaboration. This one is the easiest. The second challenge I will address is to provide clear instructions in advance so that we don't have to do much communication with participating citizens. And the most challenging is to motivate citizens to participate and cooperate with us. Before I move to these topics, just a few outlines on the problem of speech data collection in small language communities. That we face data scarcity, of course. There are fewer available participants, consequently fewer speech production. Despite being a small language community, there's a high variability of dialects, more than 40 in case of Slovenians. So ideally, we would like to cover the dialects as well. Funds are very limited, of course, and there's also total absence of any pre-established crowdsourcing community, which would be already adjusted to such type of work. So why citizen science approach? The most important reason is that we believe that collecting speech, everyday speech across regions and across demographics is something that needs large-scale collaboration. This cannot be done by a single employee. Second, we believe also the task of going around asking people to allow recording, do the recording, collecting the metadata is not overly complex, still enough challenging, so very suitable for citizen science approach. And this task we find more suitable as we have more control over participating citizens, more control over the data consequently, compared to crowdsourcing where we would contact speakers directly. So this is the platform, the web page we have built and can be found on the internet. It's called Spoken Slovene, Govorjena, slovenščina. And I will now move to these 3 challenges which I mentioned. The first one, the first thing is if we want remote collaboration, we of course need to give clear information on the web page. We have structured this information in order to respond to the following questions. On the first page, we answer to the question why we collect the data. On the second page, we answer on who uses the data and how we protect the data. On the third page, we answer what do participants gain. This is not so much. These are really symbolic rewards. Then we also provide some popular science text where people can have direct look into what we can learn new about speech if we collect such data and can analyze the data. Then we answer the question how we transcribe the data. A very important side is about who we are. We present ourselves with our names, with our previous projects, so we can somehow build trust with users. And then there are, of course, detailed instructions how to record the data, and finally the platform for submitting the data. For this platform, only the participating citizens, they need to register, they have their username with email password, they have a simple profile where they can have a look at the history of the recordings they have already submitted. And then there's also a task to support remote submission. So this is a simple platform where people input all the metadata on the recording, the demanded metadata on each speaker on the recording. They upload the recording, click submit, and this is more or less everything, and it's saved at our university. And then there's also a contact email where participants can send test recording, for examples, or use it for communication with us. So this was the first challenge. It was, as I said, we found it the easiest one. It was not very demanding. To provide clear instructions so that people know what is their work, what they need to do, how to approach the task without asking us additional questions. This we found a bit harder. So we have special page addressing how to record. And on the first, we have a short overview of the basic bullet points. This is who to record, where to record, what to record, with what to record, and how long the recordings should be, how long they should be. Under each button, there are longer instructions, additional, more detailed instructions. Then there are also consent forms for speakers, form for metadata, additional technical instructions. Video instructions are about to follow in a few weeks. They are already recorded, so for those who prefer to watch instead of reading. And then we also put a lot of effort to make the online submission form clear as possible. We have thus far collected approximately 40 recordings. The problems related to the instructions that we have detected thus far was sometimes problems of the recording quality. Either it was not in the desired format, it was too noisy, too quiet, and in some cases the speakers on the recordings were unrelaxed, and this is also something that is not the most wanted scenario. And the third challenge, so if we have these two problems solved, we can of course always find people, pay the money to do the recording, to do the work. This is what we did in the past. We will probably do so in the future as well. But the idea is, of course, if we don't have much funds, how could we motivate people to participate with us on more voluntary basis for something symbolic, for example? So we have searched the literature on the citizen science, and what we learned from the literature is that intrinsic motivators why people decide to participate in citizen science is that they either want to learn something new, they want to participate in science, maybe they want to contribute to society, to meet people, or especially if these are younger people, they want to gain references. So based on this, we have identified 3 potential intrinsic motivators for our goal. The first might be that people would be willing to participate in order to preserve samples of their speech, of their language or dialect. The second would be that they would be willing to participate in order to support development of digital tools for their language. And the third might be a bit specific as it relates only to the speech of children, but this is also a very wanted type of speech that we would like to collect. And with these collections, they could support research on speech, child speech development. This might be also something that could motivate citizens to participate. What we learn about who usually participates, these are most of all typically higher educated people, usually more women than men, people who have time and means. Now, furthermore, what we learn is that it is very necessary to establish trust. People would not cooperate with us if they don't trust us. So how we try to do this? We clearly explain who we are with our names. We clearly explain why we collect the data, who and why needs the data or will use the data, what will we do with the data, and most importantly, we try to ensure that we properly protect the data according to GDPR. As soon as we have speech data, everyday speech, we have personal data. So the target groups we have identified, these are potential group of people that could respond to our call to cooperate with us as citizen scientists. So those people who will go around and record speech of other people. This might be people interested in language, people interested in science, and people interested in preserving the culture. And there is a plan to prepare a communication strategy to achieve, to reach these target groups. So this final step, how to get the message out, if there are not many funds for commercial, for advertising, here are some ideas that we have listed so far and that we will presume in the next year there is a plan to test this, to do also this approach, this task from the research perspective, and hopefully in a year we will be able to report some results, how people respond. So for the conclusion, I have prepared some broader perspective on how this work that we are trying to do, that we do, corresponds and contributes to the today's society. This is definitely a participatory approach. Anyone can participate, anyone can contribute. It is a work that helps preserving heritage for future generation, something that we also find very important. We try to build trust in science. We try to bring inclusion for all demographic groups. With such data, we hope to contribute to a knowledge society. And last but not least, we put very much attention to collect and prepare the data the way that it can be used by as many scientific disciplines as possible. So this is not to collect the data just for linguistics or just for technology or just for logopedia, but to collect the data that way that it can be used, but by ideally by all of these disciplines. Thank you very much for your attention. I had to answer.
Thanks for the presentation. I had the impression that you get a certain bias in the targeted users and that you are missing out maybe on a lot. It is my impression that most people are very proud on the language or the language variant that they speak. And isn't an appeal to that a way to motivate people to participate, even if they have furthermore no specific interest in language or things like that?
We would all like to think so, yes. But when trying to get the message out, you have to have some target groups which you believe are more likely to respond. And based on the literature we have searched, it is better to search around universities, around schools, around cultural institutions, academical institutions. But of course, this is not. This is only the mediator. So these are not the people that will be recorded. They could be recorded as well, but they will go around and ask their acquaintances, relatives. So at the end, we get a very broad collection of speakers from all ages, all genders, all regions, and so on.
Do you have a rough estimation how many hours you have collected already and how many you can collect per year, for example?
We did not started the communication on a wider scale. We did some small communication channels like through social media, and there was some local radio or similar media reporting on our project. But to put the message out and get larger information around, this is what we plan in the next year. I think it would be complete lottery to guess how many people will respond. I don't know. For now, we have collected, like I said, 40 recordings, but this was through students.
Well, mine questions were also already asked, but maybe you can still give us like what is your ideal number of people, and how do you think you can say, okay, at the end when you have the final set of data, so that you can have something which is representative with respect to ages and, as you said, gender and stuff. What do you think that you will have or would like to have, and until when you plan to have this collection of data? Or maybe like what's the size of the project that you have in mind, and when you want to stop and then start processing the data and this kind of things?
So we we concentrate more on this being a long-term project. So ideally, we expect that in the first year it will be a very hard time to collect any data, and in the second year there may be more information around. Hopefully this will be supported for maybe 20 or 30 years, and in the long term, of course, we would like to collect as much data as possible. But we do not have, and it's not the type of the project that we would have to set some amount of data, like 100 hours or 1,000 hours. There's no such demand, and since it is a completely new area for us, we have never before tried to collect data without giving some financial reward. It's also possible that there will be very few response.
I don't know the details, but there has been a similar project in the Netherlands called Gesproken Nederlands, Spoken Dutch. And did you look at that project or maybe other projects in other countries to see what you can learn from them?
It was very hard to get information how they approach the people and how they approach the problem to collect the recording. So I didn't find such information. People usually don't publish this. I would have to ask them personally. But very often it is through students. So I think this is the most typical way, or paying people. So getting the advertise, and people who respond to advertise, they get paid. Or there were also a large state-supported campaigns with big commercials on TV, on Jumbo. So this is what we found.